Learning a language is difficult enough, especially Japanese. And besides learning 3 writing systems, backwards grammar, thousands of kanji, and the cultural etiquette that goes hand in hand with the language, there are other skills that go along with mastering the language that are seldom taught. That's why today I'm going to give you a crash course on how to type in Japanese, the way the natives do it, and how this could change everything about your journey to Jozu. Let's get started. Typing in Japanese looks scary. It looks different, it acts differently from our normal English keyboard, and there can be a little bit of a learning curve once you start using it. But in reality, it's actually pretty intuitive once you properly set it up on your devices. And the earlier that you can learn to type in Japanese, the faster you can learn Japanese, in my opinion. Because let's face it, Romaji never leads to fluency. Usually. So I would say that this should be one of your first steps when learning the language. Even if you haven't learned all of hiragana or katakana, or even if you don't know any kanji, knowing how to use a Japanese keyboard is going to make things way easier in the long run. And I'd argue that learning to type in Japanese will even help you learn those writing systems if you haven't already. And that's because you're actually using the writing system. You're using it the way that natives would. I think learning to write the characters, write all of the writing systems by hand is also important too, just for the overall learning process and letting those characters kind of sink in. But the way that technology is going, it's obvious that writing by hand is just on its way out. And typing is super important if you just want to be able to use the language even on a daily basis. If you want to be able to look up things properly in a Japanese dictionary while studying, if you want to send messages to people or send proper work emails or anything like that, or even practicing creative writing, anything that involves output of the language, I think typing is super important to know how to do it properly. So if you want to do that, or if you're into that, this video is for you. I'm going to show you how to get the keyboards on your devices, along with a quick tutorial for phone and for laptop. So let's get started with the phone. So first things first, on your phone, I am using iOS. So for other phone users out there, it's going to be a little similar, but it's kind of the same. Just go to your general settings and then scroll down until you see the keyboard tab. Click on the keyboards and then you will see add new keyboard. Go ahead and scroll down until you find Japanese. Go ahead and press the Japanese one and you will see either kana or romaji. You can go ahead and press romaji if you want, but we are focusing on kana today because it is much more intuitive and way quicker to type with. So let's go ahead and press kana. Now we have added that to our keyboard. All right, now let's figure out how to use this thing. Now that we have it downloaded, once we go ahead and open up our keyboard, you will see a little globe in the bottom left-hand corner. If you click that, you will see that it switches to the Japanese keyboard. And if you click it again, it'll keep switching through if you have any more keyboards available. Now the Japanese keyboard obviously looks very different, kind of like those old flip phones from back in the day. Anyone who's older than 25 will understand what I'm talking about. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and press that ABC marker that is on the first column on the third row down, and boom, blast from the past. And the interesting thing about this is actually how Japanese people type English on their phones. They still use this because this is just kind of what they know. And we all know it's way more difficult to type English on this than our comfy QWERTY keyboard. But in the same way, a lot of Japanese learners will use a kind of QWERTY style romaji keyboard at first, just because it's familiar to us and we're used to it. But in reality, it is much harder to type in Japanese that way, and it's a lot faster using the kana keyboard. Now the first thing that you'll notice here is that not all the hiragana characters are represented, and there are no katakana or kanji here, but this keyboard is a lot more advanced than it looks. So hopefully by now you know enough hiragana to know that the top left character there on the screen is a, and the other 9 characters on here, as you can see, are all the consonant forms of that sound. So you can see we have ka, sa, ta, na, ha, ma, ya, ra, wa. And the a key here, as you can see, will be the template for the entire keyboard moving forward. So if you hold down that a key, you will see that the other vowel forms of hiragana will pop up as well. On the left, you have e, on the top, you have u, on the right, you have e, and at the bottom, you have o, right? A, I, u, e, o. Those are the first things that we learn. And if you want to quickly run through them all, you can just tap really fast on here and you'll see it switches like that. And it goes to the little versions of them as well. Right next to it is the hiragana character for ka. If we hold that down, we see that it also gives the other forms of that k consonant sound. So we have ki, ku, ke, ko. So using that as a template, we automatically know that all of the characters are actually right here, right in front of us, right at our fingertips. Now, if you want to get those little dash lines that indicate that a consonant is voiced, or what they call in Japanese dakuten, for example, going from ka to ga, you simply type ka, And then you see at the bottom left there, you'll see those little dashed lines. And then all you have to do is tap it, and there you go. Now it's ga. So you'll see both they have the dakuten, those little dashed lines, and then you have the little circle as what they call handakuten. And that's how you get that little circle on top as well. So for example, if we want to go ha, press it once and it goes ba, press it twice and it goes pa, right? Easy. Ha, ba, pa. Then you'll see right under the dashed lines in that little circle, you'll see the character for small. That is how we make a character kind of that smaller version of it. For example, tsu. If you want to make that stop sound or that small pause, for instance, in the word yokatta, just simply type yo, ke, and then tsu, and then hit that button and it makes it smaller. And then end with ta, and there you go. Yokatta. Now, before we learn how to do katakana and kanji on this keyboard, let's go ahead and run through a few of the other keys and in general other things that we can do on this keyboard. On the ya key, you will notice that there is no yi or ye sound, so it has the u and the yo, but then on the other sides, it's just brackets, so there's our brackets. Then on the bottom row, moving from left to right, we obviously have the normal emojis button that we already are familiar with, but next to it is kind of those classic old style flip phone emojis. You can run through those. That's kind of fun if you want to look at that. And then on the key that has wa, if you take a look at that, it has the n and the o and your dashed lines. So there's where those are. Next to it is all the punctuation that you might need. And then on the last column, starting at the top, obviously is our delete key. And then under that is actually your space key or kuhaku. And that last key there is basically your enter key. And then if you type something, it'll actually come up as kakute, which basically means decision. That's basically how you lock in what you want to type, and then press it again and then goes to a new line. And that'll be important when we start talking about how to type in katakana and kanji. All right, now say we want to type in katakana. How do we do this? Basically, what you're going to do is type it in hiragana first, and then you'll see it come up at the top as katakana. So I'll show you in a word. Let's say whiskey. Whiskey is a word that is in katakana. Obviously, we don't have katakana here yet, but if we type it out as it is in hiragana, U-E-S-K dash, it comes up right at the top there on the top left. It come up pretty quickly because I guess I type whiskey a lot for some reason. Go ahead and press that and boom, there is our katakana for whiskey. But say it doesn't show up immediately, or maybe we want to type something that is normally in kanji or hiragana, but we want to put it in katakana. Let's say we want to try takusan, right? Takusan is normally a hiragana word, right? Takusan. And you'll see right there, it does show up as katakana right there, but if it didn't, for example, you just hit that arrow or you can scroll until you find the one that you're looking for. So there you go, takusan. And that drop-down menu will also show maybe other words or phrases that are similar to it. And one more thing on katakana, say we wanted to type something that has one of those little letters, like I said earlier, for example, the word for T in katakana, right? T, it would be te, E, and then just hit that little lowercase, and then boom, it goes to T, and then dash, and there we go. There's how you do that. And I'm sure you've noticed it by now, but this is also how you type kanji. So say we want to type the actual word kanji in kanji. We just type it in like we would in hiragana, ka-n-ji. And then at the top there, it gives some options for kanji. And of course, the first one is right. That is kanji. Now, this does require some knowledge of the writing systems if you're just getting started. But like I said, I think this is a great way to start practicing immediately and getting familiar with all three. So let's make a sentence using all three writing systems on the keyboard. How about the sentence, I want to drink whiskey? It's been a long week. It's almost Friday, so it's just on the mind. So I'm going to type it out in one of two ways. You can either type it out word for word. Whiskey o nomitai, like that, or you can type it out completely at once and then you can decide on it after, just like this, whiskey o nomitai, and you can see there at the top it already has it right there in that beautiful kanji, all three. There's also another one if you want to use the other form of nomu, but we're going to just hit that one and bam, there we go. Whiskey o nomitai. So there's definitely a little bit of a learning curve, but once you get the hang of it, it makes things a lot easier when trying to type in Japanese. So that's really all the basics you need to know for knowing how to type on the phone. So now let's move over to the laptop. All right, to get to the Japanese keyboard on your computer, again, I'm using Mac. It might be different on your other PCs, but basically just go to settings, scroll down to the keyboard section, and then you'll see text input. Go ahead and hit edit. You see I only have the US one on there right now. Then on the all input sources tab, you're going to see this little plus sign here. Go ahead and press that and it will show all the ones because Japanese is kind of a language that's already on my computer. It shows up right there. And then you have two options. You have kana or you have romaji. Now I'm going to recommend romaji as it is a lot easier for those who have grown up with this QWERTY keyboard all their lives. As you can see, the romaji keyboard, it changes all of the keys on the screen to hiragana, but unless you want to completely rewire how you type, I'd say at this point, just stick with the romaji and I'll show you exactly how to use it. Now, if you do happen to have one of those devices, you happen to have one of those keyboards that has the kana keyboard already on it, you can use that and learn how to do it. That's totally fine. That'll probably make things actually even faster, but for those who are new to it and have grown up all their lives using a QWERTY keyboard, just stick with the Japanese romaji. It's going to be still really fast and really intuitive. So go ahead and add that. And as you can see, it's already on there. And now that we have it set, we just got to figure out how to use it. So to switch to your Japanese keyboard, the first thing you'll notice is at the top right here, you'll see US. That means it's in the United States English keyboard. Go ahead and click that, and then you'll see romaji, hiragana, and katakana pop up. Go ahead and hit the hiragana one. Or what you can do on your keyboard, you can actually hit the caps lock button, and it'll switch between your two most used keyboards right there. So it's switching between English and hiragana. So using the Japanese keyboard, basically we're just going to sound out the hiragana using romaji and just type it out exactly how it sounds. So for example, a, I, u, e, o, right there, easy. So basically to switch between using hiragana, katakana, and kanji, it's just like the phone keyboard. We're just going to type something out in hiragana, and then we'll see maybe a little drop-down menu come out, and then we can pop between kanji and katakana or whatever we want to do. So let's say when we type in the same sentence as earlier using the romaji keyboard, whiskey o nomitai. You can see that it automatically went to katakana and kanji based on the context. And you'll see that the pop-up menu even came down for a suggestion for if I want to end it with the des form, right, to make it more polite. So just do that right there. So it's a very intuitive keyboard. It will know based on the context what you're trying to say, what kind of writing system that you want to use. But what if it doesn't? What if we want to say something like last time? What if we want to put takusan, which is normally in hiragana? What if we want to put that into kanji, or maybe we want to put that in a more edgy tone and make it in katakana, right? So first we're going to type out, right, takusan. And you'll see the pop-down menu comes. You'll see that we can put it in kanji. If you use the space bar, it'll cycle through, or you can use the directional keys to go down or up. And as you see, if you go up, it goes to katakana. If you go further, it'll even take it into different romaji styles. But let's say we want to stick with, katakana. And there we go, takusan in katakana. And then as you can see, I'm hitting this enter key to lock it. So like again, let me put it in takusan, let me put it in kanji this time, and then hitting this locks it. And then if you hit it again, it just creates a new line. So that's pretty simple here, but I'm going to show you a few hidden tricks of the keyboard. So if we want to do the sound ra, ri, ru, re, ro, that RL sound in Japanese, you don't use L. So if you want to make those sounds, it'll be ra, ri, ru, re, ro, like that, using the R form. To do the N character, we just hit the N twice. There we go, like that. And then sounds such as she can be typed faster. You can type it like this, S-H-I, or you can type it as S-I, and it comes up as she. Su is the same way. If you want to type in Su, you can go TSU, or you can just go TU, and boom, just much faster. Speaking of Su, if you want to do the smaller version like we did earlier in the word yokatta, you have to hit the starting consonant of the next character twice. So I'll show you what I mean. So say we want to do yokatta, we type in yo, ka, and then instead of TA for ta, it would be TTA. And there we go. It gives that small tsu, and as you see the pop-down menu, I can put it in kanji, I could add des at the end of it, but let's just leave it like that, yokatta. And that works for any time you want to add a small tsu. For example, the word check, right? We would do check, C-H-E, would be che, and then instead of doing K-U, we need that small tsu to make it that kind of that stopgap, for that extra pause, so we'd do KKU, and there you go, chekku, and it automatically goes into katakana because it's a katakana word. And then lastly, if you want to make those small vowel sounds, you have to start it with an L or an X. So example, if you want to do a small I, it would be L-I, or it would be XI, right? I like to usually just use the L's instead. So for example, for the word T, right, like we did last time, you would do te, and then instead of just doing E like that, that would be te E. We don't want that. We want T, right? So it would be te Li, and then boom, T, and then add your dash right there, and then put it in katakana, and there you go, the word for T. And that works for all of them, right? LA, LU, LO, LE, LI, right? That's how you make the smaller vowels. And that's really most of the basics of typing on this keyboard. It's a little confusing at first and is very different, but once you get the hang of it, it really makes typing a breeze. And one more thing, if you're not too good with kanji yet, if you can't pick it out, just trust that the keyboard knows what it's doing and it will use the context to pick the right kanji for you. For example, in those words like hashi, right? Hashi has a few different kanji. It can, from the top of my head, it can be bridge or it can be chopsticks. But if you type in a sentence like hashi de taberu, which is to eat with chopsticks, you'll automatically see that it gives the kanji, the correct kanji for chopsticks instead of bridge, right? We don't eat with bridge, we eat with chopsticks. So the computer knows that and will change the kanji based on context. In the same way, if we wanted to use bridge, say we want to do hashi o tateru, to build a bridge, you can see right there, it does the kanji for bridge instead of chopsticks because we're not building chopsticks, right? So it's pretty intuitive that way. It's pretty cool. And honestly, you can really geek out with this stuff. It's pretty cool to see what technology can do with typing nowadays. So that's basically all you need to know to start using Japanese on your phone and on your laptop. If there's anything I left out or any questions that you have regarding typing in Japanese, please let me know in the comments below. And the last thing I'll say about this is don't put off learning how to type in Japanese. It may feel different at first. It may be a little difficult at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be glad you did it, and learn it as early as you can if possible. Don't wait down the road. Just do it. You'll be thankful that you did. And as always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more Jack's Japan content. See you later.